Let's write our first C program, and you can guess what program I am talking about. Well, it's our famous Hello World program. Those of you don't know, we are going to write a C program to print Hello World on the screen. So I have this program pre-written on my screen. You can take a moment to go over it. Now, let's deep dive into the different section of this program. Here, there are two different code sections. The first one, the code before line main. And there, we include some C header files. Here we have word include followed by C header file name, which essentially tells the compiler to import a header file from some location. Now, from where it loads and what it contains is a separate discussion topic, right? And we can come to it later. By the way, this word include is a directive in case if you want to know, right? Now, let's talk about the other section. The other section here is main. It is a special function that acts as an entry point for program execution. So whenever you execute this C program, the operating system calls this main function, right? And this is the body of the main function enclosed in braces. As you can see, there is only one line, printf, which is just another function. Now, just to tell you what printf function does is that it will print whatever is there in enclosed braces on the terminal. So whatever is there in the printf statement enclosed with those braces, it will print that string to the terminal, right? But look, there is no definition of the print function in our program. Now the question is, where does this printf function comes from, right? So let's look at the include directive in our first line. This printf function comes from there. The printf function is declared in a header file named stdio.h. Now you must be wondering where the header file comes from. Who tells the compiler where to look for this header file? In our case, we are going to use GCC, which is a GNU compiler collection. It's a compiler with other development tool. So going forward, whenever I say compiler, that means it is a GCC I'm referring to, right? Normally the compiler mainly looks into three different places of header files. The current directory, it searches stdio.h in our current directory first. If not found, then it checks if we are explicitly told the compiler to look at some other location, right? And the way we can tell the compiler by using -i option with a directory name. It is a way in which we tell the compiler to look into our own directory. The third is the place where compiler look for is pre-configured list of standard system directories. So the compiler has a list of pre-configured standard system directories, and there it will look for the header files that we have included. Now the compiler first looks into the current directory since there is no header file named stdio.h. Also here we haven't explicitly provided compiler to look into any other directory. So it will end up looking into standard system directories. Now, if you want to know where the compiler will find our stdio.h header file, you can go and execute this command gcc -h and then the file name, right? And it will tell you a recursive list of all the header files which were included in this file and where the compiler will look for those files. So it will also give you the path. So here you can see this is the list of all the header files that the compiler has included, and this is the corresponding path. Okay, so now I have some homework for you. Where does the compiler get the definition of the printf function? And I'll give you a hint. So the libc is the hint, and it is an standard C library. You may pause the video and then figure it out, maybe search it over the internet, and who knows, you can end up getting the answer. Now, if you have already figured out where the printf definition comes from, let's say some object file X, right? Then the next question is, where does the compiler look for that object file? What is the path variable it uses to search for? That is another homework, right? Now, enough of this printf function. Let's execute our program and see what happens. So we have a terminal window here. So to execute our program, use command gcc file.c, right? And it creates a binary name a.out if your program is compiled successfully, right? And it prints hello world, right? So you can see it has printed hello world here. So the pipeline here is this, that you have a main function, main, and that calls your printf function, printf, and this will internally call some other functions which will eventually write hello world on the screen, on the terminal, right? And then it return back from that function to printf function, and then the printf function will return back to main, and then main will return back to the original caller of the main function. So in summary, we not only learned what the C program, but also learn how compiler collects all the headers, object files to formulate a binary